they would have, they were starting to lay off certain people. And they would say, well, no, the plant's going fine. No problem. We ain't shutting this down. Okay? That's what they were saying. And then more and more people were laid off, you see. And then they said, well, no, it's okay. We're online again, eh? And they kept going back and forth. And they were always lying to us. Okay? Now, if a person understood that and didn't take it to heart, it wasn't a problem. And I didn't take it to heart. Okay, I don't think Dwight did.
No,
we didn't take that to heart because rumors were so bad there in the last 4 years that everything, as far as I was concerned, if I didn't see somebody doing it, it didn't happen. Okay.
But what makes you say they were lying to you,
What were they?
as opposed to just the normal ebb and flow?
Because on one day they would say we're on course, plant's not going to shut down, and the next day somebody would get laid off.
Were you noticing that about that time, Dwight?
Well, I can't say as I did really, and but one thing that Lorne said that I totally agree with is that you just didn't believe what the hell you heard until you actually seen it happening. And that was the other thing about this plant life is that we all get to know one another quite a bit better than you would in a construction setting where you might know the guy you're working with or whatever. But we would spend years with one another, so there was always a certain amount of visiting going on, and so that is quite likely the rumor mill is getting greased pretty good.
yeah, for sure.
But But anyway, and there was always a room for a new rumor, and I agree totally with what he said, where you just couldn't believe anything until it actually happened. But
that's
I think we knew for quite a few years that things were winding down, and I personally believe that, as we were talking about earlier about the contaminated ground, I kind of wonder why a corporation would leave a goose that's laying the golden eggs. Why would you kick that goose off of the nest, so to speak? When they were making millions of dollars and
so
whatnot.
Productivity wasn't a concern.
No, and actually, they talk about globalization and the distance from tidewater that Edmonton is, which is a factor when it comes to shipping products to your end users and stuff. But I think one of the biggest reasons that Celanese left Edmonton is likely the contaminated ground. The government of the day right now is more likely to say, well, thanks for being here all these years, and we'll see you later. Whereas if Celanese were to wait for another 10, 15 years before they decide to leave town, well then, supposedly they're still on the hook for this contaminated ground. But on the other hand, it's nothing like getting out of town before the guns come out.
What's your theory? It's not productivity, it's not safety. It was, I gather, one of the more productive.
It was a very productive plant. I had heard, of course, this is again the rumor, like the Yankees wanted 15% return on their money, and they weren't getting it. And they said, if we don't get 15 cents on the dollar, then we're shutting it down. That's the bottom line. So they were getting something like 12% return, okay, on their money. Mm-hmm. Now the other thing was they had this. On this shutting down process. On the shutting down process of the plant, they started to cut costs, and they introduced, what did they say? $18 million. They had to cut $8 million 1 year and $10 million. Remember when they were winding down there, and they said they're just cutting costs. They're not shutting the plant down, but in reality they were actually preparing to do the books.
They weren't putting any more money in.
No, they weren't taking it, but they were cutting it, and they slashed everything. Like, I mean, every budget that was out there for every unit and every shop was cut until the books looked very good. And their idea was to bring it down to that point and then dump it.